Good morning to you all. On behalf of the Department of Commerce, Agappa University, I have great pleasure and privilege to welcome our Honorable Professor and Dean, School of Business Studies, and Professor and Head, Department of Management Studies, Central University of Kerala, Professor Dr. V. Balachandran, sir, to this great session. I welcome you, sir. Professor is formally Registrar, Special Officer, Finance Officer, Dean, and Professor, Faculty of Management, and Director of Distance Education, Alagappa University, Karaikudi, Tamil Nadu. Professor having 36 years of PG teaching experience and 30 years of research experience in the field of commerce, corporate secretaryship, and management. Also served as coordinator for UGC's innovative program for 1-year PG diploma in VAT and service tax for the students of School of Management from July 2012 to 15. Professor, the current areas of specialization of our professor are capital market and security laws, indirect taxation, financial management, corporate governance, ethics, CSR, and corporate management and economic laws. Professor has guided successfully 29 scholars for the award of doctoral degree and 55 MPhil scholars in the field of commerce, corporate secretaryship, and management. Professor has published around 360 articles, research papers in reputed national and international journals, and presented papers in about 125 national level seminars, conferences, and workshops. Professor has authored and co-authored 14 books by reputed publishers like Sultan Sen and Sons, Bharat Law Books House, Tata McGraw-Hill, British Hall of India, Vijay Nicol Imprints. Then Professor has acted as a member of a lot of organizations such as the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, New Delhi, and United Writers Association, Chennai. And Professor has been conferred with many awards such as Rakshya Vidya Saraswati Purashkar by the International Institute of Education Management, New Delhi. Lifetime Achievement Award for Educational Excellence by Indian Economic Development and Research Association, New Delhi. Then Alagappa Excellence Research Award by Alagappa University. The National Education Award by Global Management Council, Ahmedabad. And Certificate of Award for 25 years of unblemished service in Alagappa University. Indira Gandhi Excellence Award by International Business Council. Then Glory of India, Gold Medalist Award 2020 by Best Citizen Publishing House, New Delhi. And Golden Aim Award 2020 for Excellence and Leadership in Education, July 2020. And Indian Achievers Award for Education Excellence 2020 conferred by IAF in recognition of outstanding professional achievement and contribution to nation building. The professor has completed research projects on social responsibility initiatives by private sector companies in Tamil Nadu funded by UGC MRP. April 2013 to September 2015. In WTO IPR Challenges and Opportunities for Members of ICSI funded by the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, 2004 and 5. Then Financial Services of NBFCs in Coimbatore, minor research project funded by UGC, April 2000, April 2001. Then Evaluation of Non-Banking Financial Companies in TN funded by UGC, February 1998 to February 2000. And Equity Financing in Small Scale Industries in TN funded by UGC, MRP 1993-96. We are having such a wonderful personality today. On behalf of the Department of Commerce, I would like to welcome our Honorable Professor once again. I welcome you, sir. Dear participants, I welcome you all to this great session on last day of ICSR sponsored program on data analysis and research methodology. Once again, I welcome you all to this great session. Now may I request and invite our Honorable Professor Dr. V. Balachandran, sir, to deliver special letters on this great session. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Please, sir.
Good morning, every one of you.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to every one of you.
Very good morning, sir. Very good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Let me at the outset wish to thank the Department of Commerce of our Alagappa University, and particularly Professor Dr. T.R. Gurumurthy and his team members, namely Dr. Vinayamurthy, Dr. Gurubandi, Dr. Galapati, Dr. Nidamaran, members of faculty, and all other my friends. I'm extremely happy and congratulate the department for having taken this very important task of conducting for more than nearly 10 days from 3rd of September to today, up to 14th of September. In fact, we are at the last, I was lost but one session, and I think by this time, members of the participants, members of the participants would have got a very good knowledge about the various aspects of research as well as data analysis in research methodology. I profusely thank all the team members, particularly Dr. Vinayamurthy, for the coordination as well as the cooperation is rendering to the department to enhance the image of the department in the minds of everyone. Now, I think we come to a very important area, as the name suggests, research question. You got much information because most of you are members of faculty as well as scholars, and companies are spending crores and crores of amount on research and development. You can take particularly pharma industries. They are spending crores and crores, 500 crores, 600 crores, up to even they cross even 1,000 crores. And many FMCG companies, fast movement, consumer goods, all industries, they are spending a lot of amount of industry on research. You know why? Because research is very important. Research is important not only for the educational purpose, but also for society and also in the day-to-day administration as well as day-to-day life also. And I don't want to give you more information on that because most of you know the significance of research as such. But whether you are a budding researcher or a research scholar, you may understand that research is very, very important and it plays a very vital role in the development of every economy. My dear friends, as you know, the topic come to me is research question. Research question is a very important aspect because though we come to the last two part of the session, the research question is a basic, rudimentary, fundamental aspect of research. Right from research formulation of problem, I think our elders, Dr. Manik Vasam as well as Professor Sello would have taken the topic on the formulation research problem they were touched in detail. Whenever we go for the problem formulation, necessarily we must make a question. That's why in the statement of the problem, the researcher must make questions, research questions. Though it is very simple and people do not give much importance because it is being practiced by the participants as well as mainly the guides will take care of it normally. But research question forms a basic fundamental aspect and it's a sentence that defines what the researcher wished to examine with which population and what the outcome of interest will be. Research questions are important for project formulation and it is a part of research project. In fact, research projects are necessary to elicit required answers. Every researcher normally selects a research question, which is an essential element of both quantitative as well as qualitative research. See, only when you take a topic and when you want to proceed further, necessarily you must make queries, that is research questions. And these research questions form also important parts of your research objectives. So we are giving much importance for research question because of this problem. We are giving much importance for research questions because they form the basis of the research. Maybe a research thesis or a dissertation or maybe a research project. But without asking research questions, it may not be possible for a researcher to inquire as well as to proceed further with regard to the formulation of hypothesis. And as you know, the testing of hypothesis. As you know, research is exploratory, explanatory, and we are discovering many things, we are uncovering many things, but the basis is research question. Next slide. You know, the research question, if correctly completed, will help researcher to set out what it is that he wants to answer. Just like just imagine a car or two-wheeler, when you are setting everything and ready for the ride, we check the petrol, we check the gear, and we check the required aspects. Then we are prepared to go for a ride. So also with the research questions, once you make research questions relevant to the topic, that's why experts used to say, please don't be so wide. Your topic must not be too wide. Your research project must not be too wide. If it is very comprehensive and wide, it is very difficult to make research questions. So the topic, as you know very well, research means mainly the micro aspects. The more micro you just delve into the subject, you are able to get more information because that is not discovered, that is not already found out. At the macro level, people make research, especially public policies or economics. But if you look into the minor aspects at the micro level, you are able to get more information and you are really contributing research. That is why experts they say once you finalize the main area of research, because topic may not be 100% possible immediately, as you know very well. That is why we also give you an option in every university. You can make a small change in title. First, you choose the area, maybe in marketing, maybe in environment, maybe in finance, maybe in say taxation. You can take any area, but the aspect is once area is finalized, then you can narrow down your topic. The topic can be changed at a particular point of time. That is why in the case of science, you know, most of the students who are doing research in science, and also now social science also, they don't finalize topic immediately. They just give a major area of research and they tentatively they give you a topic, because once you go for the data collection, once you start gathering information, necessarily you have to change the objectives, you have to modify the objectives, and you have to modify the hypothesis, and you have to necessarily modify the topic also. That is why before submission of your research synopsis, the experts, members of doctoral committee, HOD, will ensure that the topic is finalized at this stage itself, at least, because that is the final stage where you cannot go beyond the changing of title. Maybe you are doing for 2 years or 3 years, that is immaterial. Or even I know people they are doing for 4 years, 5 years also. But at the time of submission of your synopsis, you must be 100%, I can say even 200% perfect, as well as confident that this is the topic and this will not be changed at any point of time. Even the universities won't permit you also when you are going on changing after the submission of synopsis, because that is the final gate where we have to finalize this topic. Why I'm saying the research question is so important that the introspection you make will definitely give you a lot of information. You may not be able to know what to select, what not to select, what is very important, what's not important. You may not know at this point of time. So if you are narrowing down the topic and if you are collecting information and you make questions, if the topic is somewhat narrow and you are maybe able to make definitely good research questions, so that you are confident enough to go further and further. So I can just say the research questions are intended to improve knowledge on an important topic. The research question is one of the most important parts of research projects. This is a distinction. So it is important for everything, and they are usually narrow and specific. Then only you can make the research questions. Yes. Research questions consist of identification of study participants, intervention, along with their comparator and outcomes. Research papers are source-based explanations of a topic, event, or phenomena. See, research papers, they become a source of information for you. Some of the students, especially students who are having very good flair for reading and who are really interested in research, what they will do, they will look into the research papers. That is one of the area of research problem formulation. From research papers, definitely they are able to get some key sentences that may form a part of research, and they will start asking research questions on that. Especially professionals, normally they don't have time to go through the regular way of collecting materials, data collection. What they will do, they usually go through the various research papers, and also they go through some of the dissertations and the thesis. And we used to give what is known as a scope for further research. In the last chapter, that is summary of findings, suggestions, and recommendations, as you know, there will be a particular caption, and all the gates will necessarily insist on the researcher. What are the various further areas of research you are leaving for the youngsters? Because one research leads to another research. That is why in social science, though we do not contribute to directly for the use of the society, we are adding literature, and the literature review gets strengthened. That is, we talk about the additional knowledge to the existing literature. So we are contributing more and more additional information to the existing literature, and it is possible because of this narrowed down the topic and asking more and more questions with regard to the topic we are going to do. So in the case of scope of further research, every researcher will leave at least 2 or 3 topics. So the professionals and experts, even today, some of the students, they look into the first chapter and last chapter, and they see what is the scope for further research. From that, they start making research questions. So the knowledge is so comprehensive, the information is so wide, is that the budding researchers or research scholars, they make research questions from the scope for further research. And the researcher shall bear in mind the methodology to be chosen. Once he finalizes the research questions that form the basis for the research objectives, and he will start collecting the materials. But before collecting the materials, he must know what is the methodology he is going to follow. When I say methodology, in social science, we follow survey method of research. Most of the researchers are survey-based research. Actually, that gives you a strength to collect data as a first-hand information, that it becomes an important part of the primary data. There are various questions, arguments, counter-arguments, whether the researcher should follow the primary data or secondary data. And there are thousands of theses. They are having, depending upon both primary data as well as secondary data. It all depends upon how the researcher perceives, how he collects, how he makes research questions, how he formulates objectives of research. But he must be very careful what is the methodology he is going to follow. Whether it is survey-based data. So I am going to collect details by interviewing, say, teachers, by interviewing the corporates, by interviewing the scientists. It all depends upon a topic. That means you are contacting as a PhD student, minimum of 400, they say. So we have fixed minimum 400 members we have to necessarily collect information. And from that you deduce your findings. So survey method becomes your primary area and it becomes original. And nobody can say that you have taken from this source, that source. Those things will not come when you are very strong in collecting the primary data, because it is the first information you are collecting directly from the respondents, either by way of your questionnaire or interview schedule or by email. You are collecting, you are tabulating, you are classifying, you are analyzing. That becomes your contribution. But in the case of secondary data, you are collecting data already available, and you are necessarily in those cases you have to cite the source. And many students, they earlier, now actually the thinking has come to them, because there is we talk about the plagiarism checking. So you have to put source wherever it is required. Source, when you put the source from where you have taken, either from the past annual reports, especially for the second data, or from the research publications, or from the books, or from the standard journals, you should quote the source from which you have taken the data. That will be always be safe on your side also, and the examiners are able to appreciate that you have given due weight to the sources also. Otherwise, all have become your own private data, and this will lead to discussions, counter discussions at the time of interview, at the time of say you are processing the biomass examination. Even when you go for interview also, the experts may ask you whether it is private data or secondary data. Then we may not be able to give the correct information at that time. Or when we give true information, they will again counter ask you why you are not given the source. So research questions are being taken, they become a source of information from various sources, and especially the methodology you are going to finalize, whether it is a survey-based method or whether it is a case study. If you want to take as a case study, you take a particular, say, corporate or company, and you go for the entire information and finalize it, so that you are not going for the survey as such. This is not a field work case study. But with regard, suppose you go for an observation method, then in fact most of the scientists, especially in zoology as well as in say biology, biotechnology, they always go for the observation method of data collection. So depending upon the methodology, you have to make you have to revise the research questions also. So research questions will give you a clear path, I can say clear path, how to proceed further, which direction you have to move. So to tell you the last aspect here, methodology only determines which type of questions to be asked by the researcher before, during, and after the research process. Okay. So at every stage, you must know how the research questions actually help you to proceed further and further. Yes. Next slide, please. Now, examples of research question. Normally, I told you we do not give much importance, but now awareness has been created in the minds of the young researchers, and the research questions have become very important, and they also give or start giving importance also, because the guide also insists now you make research questions so that ultimately you can say you may know whether the direction in which you are going is correct or not. What is the expected outcome? The first question is that expected outcome. We may not know the findings because we are at the early stage. So what could be the expected outcome? Maybe you may guess it, but you cannot say because research means it talks about the reality and also talks about the unreality. That is the strength of research. It will say clearly, yes, it is right. It will say clearly, it is wrong. So the research question gives you a path whether ultimately you are actually reaching the destination and whether the objectives will be realized, whether the hypotheses are in concerns with your objectives and the chapters. Also, you are preparing on the basis of the objectives and hypotheses, because and as you know, every objective must form part and parcel of the chapter. And suppose the guide asks you or exam asks you this third objective, which chapter you are discussing, you must know which chapter you are discussing. That is why you put, when you go for the first chapter, normally research design, introduction to design. Then second one, overview of the particular topic. Then we go for the specific area. Then actually we go for analysis and interpretation of data or analysis of survey data. 1, 2, 3 like that. If you have more than one questionnaire or more than one interview schedule, we give separate chapters for every analysis. So we have seen we are also evaluated as an examiner. Suppose some students they go for 3 types of questionnaire. So we used to check whether he has given separate chapter for the analysis for each and every questionnaire or interview schedule. If you have got 3 schedules, you have got 3 questionnaire, you ensure that whether every chapter is given importance for that. And the more micro you go, it will be much appreciated by the examiners. And definitely it will add knowledge to the existing resources. So what factors play a crucial role in making a marketing campaign successful? You see, this is one of the first questions. How are the children aged 15 and younger affected by advertising? Suppose a student has taken, impact of advertising on society, and you have to check by age. Also, at the various stages of life. When you say society is a very comprehensive term, it includes not only children but also the adults, but also the youngsters as well as the older people also. So, depending upon the topic, you make research questions and you narrow down how have consumer behavior trends altered with the rise of Instagram. Some of these research questions, depending upon the nature of the topic, you have just taken tentatively. Okay. Now, how do you identify a research question in a journal? I told you from journals, from published papers, people they identify a research question, leave the general idea to a topic that can be investigated, bounded within the area. Maybe a very big area, and you narrow the area also to get the context of the general topic. Then refine the subject and re-refine the subject as if using an even more powerful lens. That means once you identify the correct journal. Suppose you are doing research in the copyright or IPR, you choose IPR journals. Suppose you decided to take a topic in environment, you take journals on environment. Suppose you want to take a topic in marketing, you take various journals in marketing. You read it, then you take points. Maybe first general one, then you narrow down, then you go minor refining, fine tuning, major refining and fine tuning. Next. Rudimentary aspects of research question. I told you it becomes a basis. Earlier, we did not give much importance, but now all the research supervisors, they insist also, the scholars and research projects, it is very, very important. Before, when the evaluators evaluate the research projects, they will see what are the research questions you have made. They will take the topic and they will see what are the research questions you make, whether research questions actually match your research topic, whether it is not deviating much. So in that case, that's why I say rudimentary aspects of research question. The extract form of the research question depends upon the following: nature of the project, the topic, the research problem, and the type of research. All research questions should be focused and as well as specific, approximately complex and relevant to a social or scholarly issue. See, sometimes your topic may be complex. You may be you are taking a complex topic, maybe a topic which is of very, very dynamic and vibrant, as well as involving more of societal issues or scholarly issues. Scholarship means advanced topic you have taken, and necessarily you have to contact people who have got much maturity in age, so that the feedback you are going to get will become a very, very quality subject. So for all these things, research questions becomes a basis. That's why I said the extract form of research question depends on the various aspects. Yes, next. Types of research questions. There are three types of basic types of research questions that research projects can address. Because once we become a guide, once we complete our, once we get our PhD degree, it is not a thing that we have done completely. That's why in the case of Viva examination, the examiner will used to tell, I'm happy that so-and-so has completed the research, we pass, we recommend to the university for the award of PhD in particular discipline. But with that, the research is not complete. The research scholar gets an eligibility to guide others subsequently. See, when a research scholar gets a PhD, it is not over. It is only a beginning. Though he has done research work for 5 years or 6 years, he gets a research degree that becomes the basis for many things. He can become a guide after 2 years. Okay. Or he can start going for applying for research projects, minor projects, major projects, as well as individual projects. He can apply to some of agencies also, say from reputed institutions like IP, Institute of Public Enterprise, ICSI, ICAI. You can get individual projects also for rupees 50,000, for 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. You'll get small projects. So you are eligible because you have got PhD. That's why when you, for research projects, these research questions are very, very important. Because only when you submit more and more projects, you get more and more credit, as well as your promotion also depends upon, to some extent, how many research projects you have completed. See, the three types of basic types of questions normally research projects can address are descriptive, when your study is designed primarily to describe what is going on or what exists. Relational, when a study is designed to look at the relationships between two or more variables. So when you say relational means we take more variables, how far they are very closely connected. What is dependent variable, what is independent variable, how many dependent variables you are going to take, how many independent variables going to take. So all depends upon the topic you are going to take. That's why I say descriptive, relational, causal. Causal means the reason. When a study is designed to determine whether one or more variables, that is a program or treatment variable, causes or affects one or more outcome variables. So maybe it can be descriptive, relational, or causal. In the case of causal, normally the science students, they always make queries with respect to the existing phenomena, as well as they would like to go for the future, say, phenomena, especially based upon the already tested facts and figures. See, in social science, we verify the data only, but in the case of science, they verify the experiment, whether the experiment gives the desired results or expected results also. That's why we talk about qualitative research as well as quantitative research. For the qualitative research, the type of questions differ, as well as for the quantitative research. Here also you'll find the research questions differ. We'll go through one by one. Yes. Qualitative research type questions. See, in the case of qualitative research, it is primarily used in social sciences and includes surveys, case studies, focus groups, and ethnographic studies. Here are the three types of qualitative questions for both research topics and survey questions. Exploratory questions, predictive questions, and interpretive questions. We see we are doing it, but without knowing we are doing it. That's why I say, if you ask the research students already who got PhD, they said, I have followed this, I have followed this, but they may not be able to tell exactly what is the exact type of question you have taken, whether it is exploratory, whether it is predictive, whether it is interpretative. Now we will go through one by one. Yes. Exploratory questions. Normally, researchers would like to know more about the topic to identify their expectations and narrow down their needy information. Exploratory questions are those questions that are designed to understand more about topic. See, as well as research is nothing but an exploratory one. We are exploring one after another. See, today, thousands and thousands, lakhs and lakhs of theses actually have come. See, before 1950, the number of researchers in commerce, in economics, in social sciences are very, very, say, you can easily count them. But, after 1980 onwards, especially during 2000 to 2020, you'll find abundant number of researchers, research supervisors, they have created their scholars. So you've got lakhs and lakhs of theses. And there was a question by the UGC also, by AICT also. See, we have got so many theses. What is their actual contribution to society? In the case of science, we are able to experiment and are able to tell, if you do this, you get the result. But in social science, we may not do like this. And maybe time bound, may be true, especially for say 5 years, this topic may be relevant. After 5 years, necessarily your data have been changed much. The marketing technology strategies were different in 1980s, in 2000, in 2020. We did not talk much about the online sales. internet marketing, digital marketing. We did not know even the meaning of these terms in 40 years back, 40 years back. But now they have become the normal things. So research is nothing but going on exploring, discovering, uncovering, so that we are able to give something new to the society. So the purpose of exploratory questioning is to learn more about a topic without attributing bias or a preconceived notion to it. Yes, next. This is topic example. What is the effect of personal technology on today's youth? Do you feel that personal technology has positively or negatively affected you? Next one. See the topic. How do students at our school spend their weekends? Question is, what do you do on typical weekends? Okay. The topic, the question. The question will get the answers. The question will get the answers. That is the significance of a research question. Yes. Then we come to the second aspect, predictive question. First we discussed about the exploratory question. The second one is predictive question. Suppose the researcher is wondering about the future outcome of an action, he will have to ask predictive questions. See, it is possible because we are using much of statistics today. We talk about the trend analysis. See, in this analysis, we necessarily know, we would like to know what is the outcome. Predictive questions will give you the possible or future outcome. Suppose you would like to know, if nobody knows, the stock market goes so much of Sensex index high in the last year. No? During the pandemic, it went down to from 40,000 to 30,000, 31,000. No, already crossed 56,000, 58,000 Sensex index. Nobody is surprised. The pandemic is not over. People say even the second wave is also not over. All governments, including our government of Tamil Nadu, they're taking lots of steps to prevent the third wave. That's why they're going for more and more medical camps to go for all the 2 doses of injection. But today, see, those people who are able to calculate well, see, it will cross 60,000 within a year or so. They do made a lot of money. Yes. Wipro share, it was 220, 230. Now it has crossed 650. If you purchase 1,000 shares last year, just 1 year back, see, for every share, you'll get minimum of 300 rupees profit. 1,000 to 300, you calculate 3 lakhs within 1 year. This is only one area of investment only. See the gold prices. See, the commercial people, business people, they always go for the prediction. That's why we talk about the fundamental analysis and based on the trends, charts, they go for the analysis. Though the fundamental analysis is good, but even then, the past performance and the present government policies and the predictions, how it can be, the guess, assumptions, we are able to get some more information. Sometimes it may click what you have predicted may become true 100%, 80%, 70%. But there are experts who always believe in prediction. Are people more likely to buy a product after a celebrity promotes it? See the question. Would you ever try a new product because the celebrity you respect said that it worked for them? See, many companies, they try to get the help of, meet the contact the actresses, sports people, celebrities for their product, business purpose, for promotion of product. Is the next question. Would people in our town enjoy an ice skating rink? Question is, how often would you visit a local ice skating rink? Next. Then we come to the interpretive questions. In the case of interpretative questions, see, already we have discussed about first two, descriptive one as well as predictive one. In the case of interpretive, the questions will be like this. How are you going to interpret the analysis? Literature studies in this, they have natural settings. They interpret how a group makes sense of a shared experiences and attributes meeting to various phenomena. These studies gather a feedback on a group's behavior without affecting the outcome. See, they observe, they interpret. See, normally, you may not know, in some of the organizations, the officers, they just have a casual rounds of various departments. Maybe finance, maybe material, maybe factory, production, and they'll just go for a visit. You may think this is only for a visit, but during the visit, by observation, they may like to know, they like to record many things, and they will take action on that. That is, observation is being interpreted as analysis. It is being done. I think you may know that some of the hotels, famous hotels, the owners first they take, first see in the restaurants when they suppose they are running, they first taste the food. People say in Saravana Bhavan, the owners first they taste the food, then only they permit them for the customers. So when you go for the quality like that, they first ensure that whether the quality is maintained throughout. And in some other hotels, the owners, the big people, they come just like an ordinary customer, and they just see other things and they report to the top officials how to improve. So these observations become interpretation. Yes, next. See the topic, research topic, example. How do preschoolers in a play-based program handle transitions between activities? How do you feel when it's time to put your toys away and start the next activity? What is the historical significance of currency to the Lakota nation? How do you attribute value to a good or service? See, these things actually I have taken from some of the research questions by browsing them, where it differs to country. And every country, they got their own set of rules, regulations. The law is not common to all the countries. Every country, they have got their own law. For example, the Companies Act in India won't be applicable to Japan. What is prevailing in Germany for the regulation of corporates is not applicable to India. But research methodology is common throughout the world. And researchers from various disciplines, they have got some of the basic questions. Maybe say introduction, statement of the problem, objective study, hypothesis, methodology, all are common. But the approach will be different. will be different. Depending upon the nature of the environment, product, company, it differs. Yes. Quantitative research questions. So far we talked about the qualitative. Now we go for the quantitative. See, in the case of quantitative research, this being used widely, where we try to measure the various aspects, especially, say for example, suppose you want to measure the intelligence of a person. Intelligence, we have got quotient, intelligence, IQ. Suppose you want to measure the beauty of nature. How will you measure beauty of nature? You will compare. Suppose you want to measure. See, there are some of the attributes which cannot be measured directly. And even if you describe, it may not be able to give a correct picture. That is why metrics are used. Measurements are being used, especially with regard to the qualitative aspects, which you may not be able to measure directly, like intelligence, beauty, character, those things, you can only describe. Suppose you want to give a mark for that, you have to measure, you have to standardize. So the uses measurable data answers to new set of research questions. These types of questions prove or disprove a researcher's hypothesis through descriptions, comparisons, and or when posing follow-up questions that gather more information. So in this case of quantitative research questions, we have three types of questions. Again, descriptive questions, comparative questions, relationship-based questions. Mr. Vinayamurthy, are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay, because there is a current cut. That's why you told. Yes, please.
It is visible also, sir.
Okay, very good. Good. See, in this case also, we have got three types of questions. Descriptive questions, comparative questions. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, that's why I want to check whether I am audible. Now, suddenly there is a power cut here, as well as relationship-based questions. See, normally in the case of social science research, we give much importance only for these types of quantitative research questions. Though we give equally for both qualitative, quantitative, but the nature of the inquiry is different in this case of quantitative research. So here also we find the research questions are beneficial when choosing a research topic or when posing follow-up questions that gather more information. Maybe descriptive, maybe comparative, or maybe relationship. See, normally we have, we have seen many theses, they are of comparative nature. You compare two corporates, you compare two colleges, you compare two institutions, and you come to a conclusion. You compare two products, you come to a conclusion. It is possible. It is being done. Yes. Descriptive questions. As the most basic type of quantitative research question, descriptive question seeks to explain when, where, why, or how something, same thing or something occurred. See, these questions are very, very frequent. That's why without knowing we are doing this, but we are doing perfectly. See, many scholars, they are doing these things. At the same time, they may not know whether actually it is what type of questions it come under. As the most basic type of quantitative research question, descriptive questions seek to explain when, where, why, or how something occurred. They use data and statistics to describe an event or phenomena. Naturally. Yes. See here, see this topic. This is topic. What percentage of college students have felt depressed in the last year because of this corona. Now, the follow-up question would be, how often do students report their feelings of depression? How often do students report their feelings of depression? Then, as topic 2, how likely is it for mice with a dominant traits to have offspring with recessive traits? The question could be, how many generations of genes influence a future generation? See, normally, when you go for testing, we try to make only use of the mice for the future testing. The doctors use mice or the cockroaches or even the frogs, to test for testing. Even monkeys are being tested only not to know whether actually it will serve the purpose or not, whether it is beneficial to human being or not. Yes. Comparative questions. Sometimes it's beneficial to compare one occurrence with another. Comparative questions are especially helpful when studying groups with different variables. See, comparative studies are most common, not only in India but also in the rest of the world. They would like to compare the living conditions of one country to another country, the lifestyle of one country with another country, the socio-economic conditions of one country with another country. Okay. So also they like to know the comparative study of a particular act or law, how the law, we can say, for example, comparative law of copyright of India with the US, comparative study of trademark in India with the trademark act of British, UK or Japan. So the comparative studies also very, very, very common, and the comparative questions play a very vital role in this regard. Sometimes it's beneficial to compare one occurrence with another. When you go for comparison, you definitely are able to get. Say, normally, actually, we made a test when our former Vice Chancellor, Mr. Subbaiah, was there as the Vice Chancellor. Actually, what he did know, he told, informed Mr. Dr. Selvam, present Vice Chancellor of Bharat University, because he was a NAC coordinator, we would like to know which particular universities they have got a A+ grade. You identify, you just check them why they have got the A+ grade, and what actually we are having now. You compare and you just come out with some of the findings, how we are able to enhance our quality so that we also would like to become A+ grade. In fact, at that time, I also had the opportunity as a registrar to take some 5 best A+ universities, and Dr. Selvam was there. Actually, he was studying the comparative situation of various universities, and he has given some very good inputs. That is why we are able to fill the gap, and we got A+ grade. From 3.21 to 3.64, it is really a very good jump, and nobody has expected also that. So comparative study many times help us in this aspect. Yes. See, in the case of a research topic here, why is it easier for men to lose weight than it is for women? The question will be, do men and women have comparable metabolisms? See, when you have this question, do men and women have comparable metabolisms? You get the answer. You get some clue. So research questions give some clue so as you can proceed further. Again, which painkiller is more effective for headaches? The question could be, do say they use that, foreign countries, the Advil and Tylenol target pain the same way. Now we are making use of aspirin and we are making use of so many uh, type of bombs, BLM, like Vicks, Amurdanjan, which will be more useful or enabling factor to reduce the headache. Next. A relationship based questions. If you would like to know how one variable affects or influences another, use a relationship based question. See, it is also being done by us. See, we are compared, we analyzed, now we come to the another type of questions based on the relationship, especially they got the various variables. When we say one variable affects or influences another, we have to use a relationship based question. These questions are common in quasi-experimental and experimental studies. Whether it is quasi-experimental or experimental studies, these questions are very, very common. Yes, please. See, the questions, you just see the question. How does the number of drought days in a year affect a region's likelihood for wildfire? See, heard about, in various parts of the country, including India, when you got forest, when it become dry, when there is no rain, okay, when there is no rain, when there is continuously no rain, then you'll find everything will become so say, without water, they get much, all the entire forest gets affected, and there'll be forest fire. Forest fires are very common, especially in thick forest like Amazon, and it is not uncommon for the other countries also. In every country, wherever we have got thick forest, especially during summer, they become very dry and they get automatically fire, which affects the environment. Now the question, what conditions are needed for a wildfire to become uncontrollable? Now, on certain occasions is able to quench or reduce the fire. Suppose it is spreading like anything, because fire is one such thing, which spreads very easily and which consumes, everything. There's no distinction between what is good and bad. Fire is a very, very important, it's a very dangerous one. So long as they are controllable, they are servant to us. That's why I say electricity is a good servant, but not a master. It is if you give a master, then it will control us. So they must be under control. The question is, what conditions are required for a wildfire to become uncontrollable? Do high school grades have an impact on future success? Do high school grades have an impact on future success? The follow-up question is, what are the relevant factors that affect one's grades in a high school? What are the relevant factors that affect one's grades in high school? Yes, next. How to write a research question? See, this is a very important area because as we have been doing it, but there is a methodology has to outright a research question. The process of developing a research question follows several steps. Choose a broad topic. It is for the research scholars or budding researchers. Or if you want to go for a research project, choose a broad topic. Do good preliminary reading to find out about topical debates and issues. When you are taking a topic, what naturally you do, you have to read quite a lot. That's why I told professionals they read more of journals, quality journals to know the research problem, the research question. So do good preliminary reading to find out the topical debates because there can be both for and against them. You get to both the points whether advertising is a waste, whether advertising really helpful. Normally, in marketing we have a question whether advertising is a social waste. We will give reasons, discuss. The question will be discussed whether it is a waste or not. You can give points. If you want to say it is a waste, you can give points. Point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you say it is not a waste, you can give points. Again, point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Just like online education, whether it is useful, whether it is beneficial, whether it is actually serves the purpose. You can argue online education is useful. You can give point 1, 2, 3, 4. Online education is not useful. You can argue for both. So also, in the case of you read both and you decide. Suppose a student wants to know the effectiveness of online education upon the high school students, upon the college students, upon the researchers. You can take a topic and you can discuss. You can, after reading, you narrow down a specific niche that you want to focus on. Identify a practical or theoretical research problem that you will address. So identify a practical or theoretical research problem that you will address. Only after reading that. Without reading, you can't get concrete facts or details because you must have confidence to proceed further, for which you require established facts so that you can proceed further. Yes, next. Then in continuation, we'll find out when you have a clearly defined problem, you need to formulate one or more questions. Now you got a clear problem. It's well defined. Then you got to go further. How? You start formulating questions, research questions. See, for example, suppose you want to study about the present tax system in India. Whether tax system really beneficial to the economy, to the businessmen, to the society. You discuss, and you can discuss both for and against. Experts they talk both for and against. But if you want to narrow down the topic, then you must have a clear, defined problem. Then you can proceed. Think about exactly what you want to know and how it will contribute to solving the problem. So ultimately, what you have to finalize, as a researcher, when you identified a clear problem, you must know how to proceed further, and you must also know what could be the possible outcome. The outcome may not be 100% perfect. The outcome may be, I told maybe 70%, 60% may be true. It is only an assumption. That is why we go for the hypothesis testing. Hypothesis is nothing but an assumption on which you would like to prove, whether prove or disprove. Well, way of null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. So there is, when you go for a problem, you must also know what could be the solution. That's why UGC, tells very clearly. Now almost all the universities and colleges, they are asked compulsorily to give course objectives for every syllabus. It was not there earlier. Now for every syllabus, you have to give a course objective. Okay. Course objective means not the general objective, one or two. It could be very, very specific. What could be? Let's talk about the outcome-based education, OBE, outcome-based education. If you study this particular syllabus, what could be the outcome for the student? Possible outcome. What could be the possible outcome-based research? So, for In the case of syllabus, if you give this much of importance, see, think about in the case of research, how much really importance. So, what I want to summarize at this stage is, what are the objectives? How you are going to form a hypothesis? What could be the future outcome? So for this, necessarily you have to make a research question. That's why I say, think about exactly what you want to know and how it will contribute to your resolving the problem. The way you frame your question depends upon what your research aims to achieve. That's why we talk about whether it is in consonance with the objectives. There should be a very positive, I can say, correlation between the research problem, research question, and research objectives. It must be high positive correlation, not just positive correlation. There must be high positive correlation, so that the question you frame will definitely be useful to attain the possible outcome. You are able to achieve the possible outcome only when you frame relevant question depending upon the topic you are going to choose. So depending upon the scope of research, the researcher may identify just one question or several questions. The researcher may also have one primary research question and several secondary questions or sub-questions that relate to the same problem. So this is also somewhat abstract in the sense that depending upon the scope of research, you know, what is called the scope of research. Many people, they taken India as a whole for the study, but later on when they go for the data collection, they confine to Tamil Nadu, they confine to Karnataka, they confine to Kerala. First they take digital marketing practices in India, okay, internet practicing in India. Then they will say, no, sir, this is very vast, sir. I want that to within Tamil Nadu or Kerala or Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. Then again they will say it is confined to this district alone. Okay. Only the district only. So when you go for district level, you are able to focus more and more. And your mind will be much sharpened. Because you have got, this is possible because you have got various questions, maybe primary research question or secondary research question. That's why I said here, depending upon the scope of research, whether you want to restrict the scope within the district or within the state or within 2 states or 3 states or southern states, because somebody may be interested in knowing the practices being followed by the government, especially the digital technologies within southern India. Then they will take 5 to 6 states. That is the scope. They are restricting the scope of the study. Suppose you would like to know the innovative practices being followed in northeast area, that is no hill areas, Nagaland, Manipur, Tripura, where you are confining only to northeast area only. Suppose you want to study in west. Okay, so you have to restrict the scope, because if you go for a say total study, you may not be able to give the correct findings. Okay, because every region has got their own limitations. You cannot follow the same methodology what we follow for the southern states. The southern states road corporations, whether in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka or say in Andhra Pradesh, is really good compared to the northeastern states. So you can't have a common objective for everything. That's why I say, depending upon the region, depending upon the area, depending upon the place actually you are actually working, you choose a problem relevant to your study. It should be micro level study. That only it will be more useful for implementation. As after all, in the social science, what we do, we cannot contribute to the government by way of patent. There is always a question: what is the patent actually you have formulated? Whenever you go, every questionnaire for the evaluation, for every post, whether you go for promotion or for any other post, there will be a column for whether you got a patent, how many patents you have. No, what answer can we give? Can we give any answer? Social science, commerce, management student, or faculty, can we give? Say, I have got 2 patents, sir. Nobody, we can't say, because patent means it requires experiment, testing. When you say H2O is water, anybody test will get only water only. Not only in India, but throughout the world, it is tested. It is tested several times. It is a fact. But with regard to social science, patent is not at all possible, especially for commerce and management studies, because it requires a lot of study. It requires experimental study, and doing the classwork and doing this type of research is really a difficult task on the part of a faculty. I think most of you may understand that. So you cannot take those aspects. We cannot answer also. But in the case of science students, it is possible. Chemistry, you see, chemistry, physics, biotechnology, biosensor, they are able to give patents because it is possible for them. They deal with the experiment. Whether you are doing the experiment in India or Japan or actually in German or in US, there will be same result. There will be same result. That is the science. But we cannot assure the same result in the case of social science. The behavior of students, suppose you want to know, they behave in one way. They behave in groups differently. As individual, they are very good. They are respectful to the teachers. But when when they form groups, when it's a problem, their behavior will be different. If the boy is actually getting a pass distinction, he will be smiling. If he fails, he will be definitely, his look will be different. He thinks that the teacher has failed him. No, it is not so. He has not done, he is failed. He has not done the exam properly, so he got low marks. It is his problem. But what will so? He will immediately say, teachers, they are not teaching properly. That means students will always say, when they pass, they say they have passed. They studied well. When they fail, they throw blame on the teachers. They throw blame on the teachers. So the scope of research is very important, and you must be very, very careful in restricting the scope. Otherwise, I know most of the students, first they take a very comprehensive research. Then after going for data collection, they will say, sir, I can't get this data, so I want to reduce the scope of research from India to Tamil Nadu. Then after again 1 year, they'll say, so I am unable to get from Tamil Nadu. I will take only one district, Sivaganga district, or say Coimbatore district, or Chennai city, or Madurai city, like that. They will confine to area by restricting the scope of the state. Okay. I think I have taken much of your time continuously. I think if the organizer gives some break.
Sir, I cannot.
Okay, sir. Please tell me when we can start. After 10 minutes, please tell me. Okay?
45, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, please join at 11:45 sharp after break. Have a nice break. Thank you.
Sir, it is not audible, sir.
Pramod ji, please wait. Sir will be joining shortly.
Sir, can you provide this material?
Yes, yes. Already we have uploaded every sessions in YouTube. Odagappa University Video Conference. All recorded videos are available. You can download and watch. It's readily available. We'll provide all the materials. We'll send you all the PPTs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Pramod. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, please.
I'm audible, sir.
Audible, sir.
Dear participants, please bear with me. There are some network issues also for me because it's a continuous program, and I thank you formally or informally also for your patient hearing. Okay, right. Now this is we come to a very important essence of this. I told how to write a research question. Now I think students, research scholars, as well as even PG students who are writing these, submitting their projects or dissertation, they also know to some extent the way in which the research questions to be prepared. Earlier, they don't know what is called research question. When I say research question, means the questions asked for the research methodology. They had a wrong conception, or I can say misconception. And just research question means asking questions on research. But that is not the actual meaning, We can ask questions on the research, but this is not called a research question. Research question actually means the way in which you have to question about the problem you have chosen and how to proceed with the problem. You have identified a problem at a long time. So I know there are some students, we used to give time. They say some within 3 months, some within 6 months. They come with a very clear-cut topic. They will say, this is final topic, sir. They will say. Maybe a small change required later. Some students, they take, in case of science students, they used to say, they take a lot of time to identify a particular problem because I told they deal with the experiments. So once you have chosen the problem and once you have started the research problem, you start making the right questions as to how to proceed further. That's why I said the scope of research was, I think most of you would have got the same difficulty. Try to narrow down the scope. If it is very, very general, then definitely the findings cannot be generalized. Secondly, the examiner or even the audience participants in the webinars also, they will ask so many questions the researcher may not be able to answer clearly. So it should be specific, it should be narrow. So let me go to the next slide. See, the table below shows some examples of how you might formulate questions for different purposes. describing and exploring. What are the characteristics of X? How X changes over time? What are the main factors in X? How does X experience? How has X deal with? This is describing. See, when I say here, it maybe you can take any activity. When I say what are the characteristics of X means you can take any concept. You ask the question of why, what, when, and how. How we deal with that. That is describing and exploring. And research questions are formatted based on that only. Then we come to the second one, explaining and testing. What is the relationship between X and Y or any other thing? What is the role of X in Y? What is the impact of X on Y? How does X influence Y? What are the causes of X? This is explaining and testing. So in this case of the second research objective, explaining and testing, you go still further and you go still deeper as to what are the causes. I can say, for example, what are the causes for the rise in prices? As a student of commerce, you may know what are the problems faced by the lower segment of people, then middle class people, then rich people. Say, we've got three types of groups. We say high income group, middle income group, low income group. Again, in high income group, again there are subsections. Again, middle income group, they say middle income group means again you've got three levels. So depending upon the various level, the problem differs. Suppose you take a topic of general, then we may not be able to get the correct answer. That is why we have to narrow down, again in telling, and it can be very specific and to the point, because research always means going deeper and deeper. As you know, our Dr. T.R. Gurmurthy used to say, as well as Dr. Sallam used to say, you just take a whale, it is sharp, then goes broader, then it goes very, very deeper. So very sharp and narrow, broader and deeper. Normally, the Lord Muruga's whale is being compared to research, especially with regard to the way in which the research student or research scholar must think about it. So it can be sharp, narrow, broader, then deeper. So when you go for causes, you must go very deep into it. Earlier, in Kerala, they said we are able to manage the COVID. They used to give statistics very, very less statistics. While all over the states in India, they were given thousands and say in terms of 10,000s. Kerala was giving only 500. Was giving only 500, 420 like that. Now of the total pandemic in the whole country, Kerala stands first, moving to nearly 25,000 in the second wave. Now there were various debates on that. How the Kerala government showed during the first wave only below 500, and now how they have the sudden increase with regard to the number of deaths also. The latest in Times of India given statistics that 3 days back, within the 3 months, the number of deaths have crossed 10,000 in Kerala. And there are reasons. That's why when you go for a study, what are the specific reasons that contributed for the increase in death level of not only Kerala, but also you can take any state, because every state differs, So the way in which actually the medical camps function, the way which government gives more importance, the way in which the people cooperate. all these things are there. Mere medicines will not do. How the people's habits are there, how people take seriously these things. Even whenever whenever there is a closure of say or discipline or restrictions with regard to the COVID, they will say 1 week, say 2 weeks, they extended our restrictions. Also, night restrictions are there, night 10 to 6, shopping restrictions, morning, say from 8 to evening 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, that, when the restrictions and the government says if you don't wear the mask, you will fine rupees 200. Then once the conditions relaxed, nobody, very few people, they wear masks. And once they relax the condition and open the shops, particularly in Chennai, Coimbatore, or Erode and Trichy, where there are more malls, suddenly there is a huge crowd, contributing again the spread of pandemic. See, we are closing, we are opening, closing and opening, giving restrictions. Like restrictions means, again there is a problem. So every state, when the government is very strong with regard to the control, then the number of deaths come down. When the government is not giving much importance, then the number of deaths increase. So you can take any state, because India has got varied states of varied character and varied development of the economy. Tamil Nadu, you compare with the Maharashtra or the Assam or the northeast states, Odisha. Every state has got their own limitations. And the economy also differs from state to state. When you go for the overall economy, again, you have to conclude depending upon the major similarities, findings of similarities only you can find out. So there are difficulties or limitations, especially when you deduce or when you want to summarize your final findings, because every state, every district has got their own limitations. In some of the states where the people are very, very cooperative, very, very, say, sensitive and know the implications of the COVID, then you will find the deaths are definitely less. In some of the states where people don't care about even wearing masks, do not bother about the crowd and travel very frequently without taking injection or any precautions, you will find the death rate will be definitely more on that. So here, explaining and testing means the causes. What are the causes for the heavy rainfall? What are the causes for the poor rainfall? What are the causes for the poor economic conditions? What are the causes for the sudden and continuous rising of Sensex over a period of 5 months? So you go for the finding out the reasons for the either high or low or medium and try to explain There actually we make use of the, as you know, various tools of statistics. So then only the data we are able to get it and we are able to analyze the data. And that's how the department is organized on the topic, data analysis, which is a very, very, I can say, relevant. So the causes are being tested in the second type of research. The third one is evaluating and acting. When I say evaluating means, the causes, and now you have to necessarily know what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages. What are the merits? For everything there is a, we people are, say people from educationalists or teachers are very intelligent, we can argue both. Whether NEET is good, whether NEET is not bad. Whether the entrance exam is required, you can give reasons. Yes, we'll say. Suppose I ask you to answer for yes. You will answer yes, 0.12345. Suppose I ask you against entrance examination, you will give again, you can also give the same, you can give different arguments in against the particular topic. So we teachers actually are really proficient in arguing both for as well as arguing against a particular concept as such. But when evaluation comes, you must necessarily take the yardsticks. What is the research aim? What is the research objective? What is the research question? What is the research objective? What is the research objective? What is the research question? What is the research hypothesis? You evaluate how data have been collected, how data have been tabulated, classified, analyzed, interpreted, as well. Then how the final summary has come up. So these things are really relevant while evaluating, but evaluation to be done, say, impartially. If you are partial, then the evaluation will not be perfect. You must be impartial. Try to be impartial with regard to the evaluation so that you are able to give the correct picture about the concept. That's why we used to say, whenever there are two arguments, this is actually you must know. Suppose you ask you a question, anybody can give me the answer. Whether the suppose I ask you which you prefer, either primary data or secondary data. Whether which type of methodology you follow, you feel it is reliable. Whether fieldwork or survey method you propose, or you propose secondary data. Anybody, any participant can answer me. But you have to give me a reason. Which data is reliable? Hello?
So first-hand information, primary data is more reliable, and it is depend upon the context. When it is a census, we cannot take the directly. That's why we can use Government of India census for secondary data purpose. So it is depend upon the context, sir.
So you mean that all the first information are really dependable? Whatever first information you get is reliable? Say I can argue, first information may be true, may not be true, but we rely on it. But what about the second data? It is from the source you have got. It is already you got a source. Based upon the source, you are doing a research. Okay. If the source is authentic, you can take annual reports of various corporates. You can take annual reports. You can take, the reports of commissions, government appointed commissions. You can quote necessarily the source from which you have taken your information, and the people they rely upon the source because it is the commission, Government of India, whatever they give, we think it is reliable. We think it is reliable. Some of the even there are some discussions going on whether the statistics given by the government regarding the pandemic are really reliable. Some states they are concealing, some states they are revealing, some states they are partially revealing. You understand? See, this is this. I am asking this to all the participants. Anybody can join with me. The thing is when the government thinks it is good to give a less number, they can give. Suppose the government gives more number, to threaten people to be more, they have to be follow the disciplines. Because they are not at all be worried about the precautions like that. Now, my question is whether the data or statistics given by every state government is reliable or not. Tell me. maybe Tamil Nadu, maybe Kerala, maybe any state you can take. Whatever state they give data about the prevailing number of people discharged, especially. They say number of people who are suffering, it comes to nearly 10,500. Number of people discharged is 9,800.
Sir, actually it is only statistics, not mathematics. So we can say probability.
Yeah.
On their statistics.
Yeah. That's why I say, to what extent we can rely upon the statistics given by the government itself. It is the government, it is not individual, it is not the company, it is the government. So government, we have to rely. Okay, whether it is right or wrong, we have to rely. In the case of second data, in the case of primary data, what I want to inform to my friends is that suppose you are a guide. Okay, still I am guiding. Okay, after many people at my age also they are guiding. Some students they take secondary data, some students they take primary data. Okay, and whether the primary data is reliable or not. Okay, whatever data they come with, the furnish, I approve. Okay, in some bios earlier, what was the practice? They asked to bring the questionnaires filled up by the participants, respondents. You must bring all the questionnaires in the bios. You must bring all the questionnaires collected from the respondents. Suppose you have taken from 425 people. You must bring data from all the 425. You must arrange all 425. Suppose they have doubt, they want to count. It should be tallying. We don't insist now because we have confidence on the guide. That whatever data given by the student, the guide vouchers, the certificate, declaration given by the candidate, in the thesis or research report. Then who is giving certificate? The guide is giving a certificate. HOD also countersigns. Then only it goes to the examination or the research dean for purpose of evaluation. So there is a basic trust, TRUST, trust and confidence, post on the research supervisor. There may be, I know many of my friends are the guiding the students, but I want to say one thing as an elderly person because of my experience. Please ensure that your candidates, they are collecting data sincerely. Because you cannot verify what data they are giving because it is first information. Whatever data given by the candidate, if we approve, okay, I can say you have to depend upon the sincerity of the research student. If the research student really takes the responsibility, going here and there, contacting people, collect data, compile data, tabulate data, analyze data, okay, well and good. You also find definitely the analysis would be really fine, the findings would be good, as well as the suggestions you want to give to the policy makers also would be good. Okay, but who is responsible here? The research scholar, research student must take very seriously. I give one particular instance. You would have also come across such instances. Okay, suppose a research scholar, okay, gives questionnaire, printed questionnaire to his friends in different areas and asks them to collect, and he comes to here, he tabulates, he comes. He just see normally students they give it to the statistician, for the purpose of the table analysis because we have got a lot of technology specialists today. Statisticians are there to help the students out what type of tool you have to make, because you can't expect the commerce student or management student to be well versed in all the statistical tools and things. So they normally contact these statisticians. I think I'm telling the truth. Okay, you can't deny. You cannot deny. But times have changed. The student is required to know the various statistical tools, their applications. Because he goes to the field and sincerely collects data and sincerely tabulates, analyzes, interprets, definitely the outcome would be really good. But if the students collects data through various means, today we are having through email, they say sometimes somebody responds, some respondents they respond, many people they actually reply a partial thing, many people they don't care about your questionnaire because they are very busy. But suppose some students they cook up data and give it to you, what would you know, my dear friends? What is the evidence that you have that whether your scholar and your control really has gone for data collection, sincerely has taken the task of collecting data, meeting people, and whatever he has gathered data are really 100% reliable? Can anybody give me answer? This question is open to all. Please tell me. Please come out openly. This tell me. But what I want to say is that I do not, because I am a supervisor. Okay. I have been guiding so many people. But you may be also guiding your students. But how many of us have got time to monitor the students' progress? Please tell me openly whether the students are really doing 100%. They're submitting 6 months reports continuously, correctly on time. Please tell me. University is very much for it. They want quality. All universities, they want quality research. We talk about whether all the research scholars are submitting their half-yearly reports to the research supervisors on time, and whether all the research supervisors they are again forwarding to the dean research. Please tell me. Please tell me. Especially students who are full-time scholars. Okay, we are able to monitor them. But with regard to the part-time scholars, how effectively we are monitoring them? Please tell me. So, what I want, whether it is a secondary data, whether it is a primary data, the reliability depends upon the person who is collecting data. Especially primary data depends upon the sincerity and the honesty of the research scholar. I think many of you agree with me. Please tell me. Yes or no?
Correct, sir.
Please tell me. The sincerity, I am really again stressing the sincerity and honesty of the research scholar, especially with regard to the fieldwork data collection, play a very, very significant role with regard to the findings of the research. If the scholar is not serious, if the scholar is not sincere, and just he brings some data, and as supervisors, we cannot verify. We depend, we say we trust our scholar. We trust because we got a lot of other work also. We are not 100% researchers. Research department, we do only research only. No, we are inducting many part-time people, full-time people. Then part-time again they become full-time. Then full-time again they become part-time. Oh, there is a possibility is there. Suppose one student has joined as full-time scholar for you. After 1 year, he got say employment, better employment. He requested you. So I will do part-time basis. You will permit, university permits. Is it not so? So ultimately, the research supervisor trusts have confidence on the research scholar. All of us. But to what extent the research scholar is sincere and honest, only his conscience knows. Only his conscience knows. See, in Viva's examination, why we ask the student to present for half an hour, I have gone as an examiner more than 60 candidates as an examiner. Why all universities insist PhD is highest degree? Because it is got its own respect. Why we ask a student directly to appear before the audience and ask him to explain? Because you may not know the reason, but I'm telling you the reason. Some people, they may know partially. Number one, he is the true researcher. Number two, he is the real person who has done research under the person. Then only he is able to explain confidently the entire work within half an hour or 40 minutes we used to give for him. So it is only it is a place for we have to explain, we have to defend ourselves. That's why in Viva, what we do, we defend ourselves. The student has to defend. The teacher is not, the research supervisor is not required to help him. In one particular, Viva's examination, the teacher was answering the questions of the research scholar. The external examiner got very much upset. He made a question. The question is to the scholar and not to the guide. The guide can help. I used to appreciate Dr. T.R. Gurumurthy because I know him for the past 3 decades. He never opened his mouth. Why I'm telling him? Because I observed him. He always keeps mum. Whether the student explains clearly, confidently or not, or keeps mum, he will not help. He will not help. Because the true knowledge gained by the student comes only from the student. That, see, as teachers, we help 1 or 2 things. When he is unable to explain, we can explain. But when the questions are direct questions, the research scholar must answer correctly. That's what happened in one external examination. The external examiner got very upset. I want the student to answer and not the research guide as such. So there are many hidden things are there. But what I want to say, whether to what extent again the research scholar is sincere and honest. Underline these 2 words. These 2 words are very, very important words. Whether he has really gone for the data collection, whether he has really got the data, whether he is really interpreting correctly. So those things, they play, only his conscience knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows, I can say. Okay, next, how to introduce a research question in a paper. I was talking about the how to formulate a research question. Yes, please, 1 minute. How to formulate a research question, I was telling you. Now, how to introduce a research question in a paper. Now, see, there are very series of steps actually experts they used to impress upon. Introduction, start broadly, and then narrow down. Then state the aims and objectives and importance. Cite throughout, thoroughly, but not excessively. Avoid giving too many citations for one point. This actually we do. You know, sometimes, you know, as a research guide, you may feel that some students, they write very few literature in the second chapter, review of literature. They give only, say, 25 or 30 or even minimum that. Some students, they give 100 literature review, whether it is relevant or not. Only student has to know. Suppose he comes with 100 pages only for the literature review, what the teacher can do, guide can do. So that's why they say, avoid too much of giving too many citations for one point. We have to give importance for latest developments. That is why they say, expert they say, start with what happens just now. Literature review should start from 2021 means 2021 in literature available, then to 2020, then 2019, 2018. You go like that. Suppose if you start giving for 1947 literature review, then it will be more than 100 pages. And you must know the research gap also. What is the research gap? Whether the student has really found the research gap. Already, many of our elders or seniors have done research on the same topic. You know, sometimes, you know, when you check the topic, sometimes the topics are repeated. In one university, it is there. In another university, it is in different form. Sorry. In one state, it is there. Another state, it is in different form. So the topic can be sometimes repeated. But you can say, after 10 years, you can take the same topic. You can just justify how it differed from the earlier findings of study. Whether the students really has found out the research gap. So if we are giving 100 pages literature review, then we can't help it. We are asked them to edit, reduce the pages and come out what is more relevant to us. And clearly state either your hypothesis or research question. You must be very clear about the hypothesis. As a researcher, you may also know there are students, actually research scholars, who are given 50 hypotheses, 40, 50, 60, 70 hypotheses. There are students who give only 3 hypotheses. Yes or no? Agree? Some students give 10 hypotheses, some 5 hypotheses, some 40 hypotheses. Please tell me whether you agree with me or not. As a researcher, you will come across. It depends upon the nature of the topic. Just for number sake, if you are giving 30 hypotheses, 40 hypotheses, how will you test it? How will you deduce it satisfactorily? How will you come out successfully your findings of study? Whether your findings will be reliable or not. You just take 6 hypotheses, test sincerely, honestly, and give your final observations in the form of findings. Okay, well and good. In one Viva, actually the examiner asked a question. You come for the 35 hypotheses, how you tested? What is the relevance of all these things for your topic you have chosen for the study? Are all hypotheses really contribute or relevant to a topic? Then why you have taken more number of hypotheses? And from hypothesis, what is inference you have got? Whether you have clearly given the inferences in the form of findings. What is the real finding? So these questions will come. So, as a research guide, you may restrict, don't go more than a limited number, so that there is more focus. There is more focus on your topic, your analysis, your findings. Then consider giving an overview of the paper. When you are finalizing it, give your overview. That means feedback. When you go for overview, again you must be a little bit careful. I think some of the universities, they ask for the in our days it was not there. It is say 30 years back it was not so. But nowadays some universities, they insist on 2-page. You will give a say research output, what you have done. You have to attach in the beginning of the, say, before the first chapter begins, you have to append your research output. That means, is you have done, you have taken nearly 290 pages or 320 pages for your research scholar, but how he is able to successfully summarize within 2 pages, difficult, It's not research abstract. The research abstract is insisted by some of the universities. I have evaluated. To what extent the student is able to extract from various chapters, mainly from findings, suggestions, and conclusion. The researcher may not know because he is guiding many people. But whatever the research scholar gives, we accepts. But one thing I can say, you can ask him again whether you have covered all the chapters, and give whether your research abstract you have given in 2 pages, whether it is has considered or taken into account the essential things. In those days, as you know, when we were students, research scholars during 1980s, for every chapter we get corrected from the guide. We used to get appointment with the guide, and the guide will ask you come on this date, this time. We go with all the data collected. Chapter wise he'll ask, please don't come with all the chapters. But today you will find many students, they come with the bounded book. Hello, dear participants and friends. Hello. Hello.
Sir, yes, sir, you are.
Yes, today the guides have got some difficulty. I'm telling you as a research guide. Students, they do not give chapter-wise correction. Say they don't also give periodically. They come on a particular date when the term ends, 3-year or full time, or 4-year or 5th year for part time, depending upon the university's norms. They come at the end of the day. They come with a bounded book with nearly 300 pages. So this is the thesis. Please approve. Please approve. Have you seen any student like this? Yes. Yes, we see as research gates we find difficult.
It is not only like that. They will come for only a signature to get fellowship.
Yes, you are right. Absolutely, you are right. They come at the last minute. They bound everything else, and they want our signature and seal. That's all. Okay, they don't given us the time to go through the chapters. That is the problem we are facing. See, in those days, we used to give chapter-wise correction. Our guide used to make corrections chapter-wise, and we find also satisfied that our guide has done something. But here, They come with the complete bounded book or full papers or spiral binding. Sir, please approve. Now, without going through the text, without correcting the very important deviations or mistakes, suppose we sign. Depending upon the sincere student, again I am repeating. See, full-time scholar, no problem. They are with us. They are under our control. But with regard to the part-time students, I am telling, part-time students, they don't meet us periodically. They don't show us the progress of the research to us. They don't send half-yearly reports to the guide. They come on a particular day with the full bounded book, please sign, sir. That is the situation actually we are here. Now, if you make a change, a significant change, they get upset. They get upset. Suppose you find these chapters are not required, these things are not required. Then you say, sir, there's no time, sir. Within 2 days, I will submit. Otherwise, I go for extension. It is already got extension. There is no more extension available. Okay. So the guide has got more responsibility, especially research scholars of this type. Whether they are good or bad, we do not know. We have taken as a student. Okay. But ultimately, the problem is the responsibility is on the research guides. It's because our name is there, in all the certificates, declarations, first page, the guide name is there, designation is there. So we have to infuse more and more responsibility on the part of the students with regard to the correction. Please don't accept, in my personal view, the entire chapters. Ask them to give chapters chapter-wise, or at least 2 chapters together, and analysis separately, because he has to go through whether he has used the right tool or not. Because sometimes, suppose you do not see anything, and students are always students. When they pass, they say, I have put my hard work, I passed. When they fail, they say, the teacher has not covered the portions. They blame the teachers. They may blame the kids also later. They have not seen it. They have not checked it. But they don't give time for us to check. Please think. So how to introduce a research question in a paper? Suppose you are preparing a research paper. You must take into account the essential things. Yes. Next slide, please. Mr. Vinayamurthy? Yes, okay. Essentials of a good research question. Why I put good research question? There can be also bad research question. Some students, they draft bad research questions, and the teachers have to spend a lot of time to correct. See, if you're going on correcting, at one stage we get vexed also. We get vexed. So when I say a good research question, the research question states the specific issue or problem that is assignment will focus on a particular issue. In general, however, a good research question should be clear and focused. A research question must be clear and focused. That's why in the statement of the problem, we must be, as research guides, we must be very, very careful whether the students have really attempted to ask some research questions. Some students write only one para statement of the problem. Now we say, why you are choosing this particular topic? They give one para some reason. They say. Now only there has been awareness. You must give proper reason. You must give why you have chosen this topic. You must give the research questions. You must also research gap also. See, in all the Viva's examination, there is a question, standard question. What is the research gap? How your thesis is different from the other thesis? And the scholar is required to give proper and correct explanation for that. So, it is not enough only why you have chosen this topic. Some students, they say, my guide suggested this topic, sir, I have chosen. No. In MPhil thesis, one student has written. I still remember. The guide actually asked him to give some topic. The student could not give topic because, MPhil is a 1-year course, time-bound course. And, already 3-4 months passed. So, the student again came, sir, I could not get a good topic. Please give me a topic. Time is running out. Okay. So, what is it? The guide has given a topic. But again, the student could not do because of so many reasons. And in Viva was what he told, I could not do sincerely because I have not chosen this topic. My guide has given me the topic. How many will agree? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. We are following.
Yeah. See, as guides, please do not give any topic to them immediately. Let them strive, let them struggle, let them spend some time. Then you ask them to come with at least 3 or 4 to 5 topics. Then you choose them, whether it's relevant, whether it is possible. See, in problem, I think formulation, my friends would have given a good number of explanation. But what I suggest, from experience, please teachers, please do not give any topic to the student. Let the students go verify. Now we've got lot of sources, lot of internet sources available. So let them go through, let them come with some 5 topics. They may not know whether it is feasible or not, or practical. So the guide actually plays an important role only at this stage. Only at this stage. When he actually, when you are out of 5, topics he is giving, for example, you may choose any 1 or 2. As a guide, it is possible for the student. Sometimes students would take a very latest topic, current topic, but you can't get materials. You don't have journals on that. So as a research scholar, he must refer various journals. He must quote various things from the journals. He must give cite. He must give footnotes. Footnotes are very important. So in the case of very new topics, the student may not be able to do justice. He may be very jubilant, or he may be very much be happy with the new topic. Sir, nobody has done it, sir. Only I am doing. So this is the first topic. We can ensure 100% originality in it. But you have to ask whether it is possible, whether you get all data, whether you can get secondary materials, whether you got journals on this topic relevant to it. See, only the guide knows whether it is possible and feasible. the topic can be chosen or not. In that case, the guide can help. I can say it should help. But please, if you give a topic, they will say the guide has given the topic. So I do not know anything about it. Only the guide should, he will say, only the guide must write. You understand? See, these are the things actually we used to meet when we actually guide the students. That's why I say you always go for a good research question. Even in the statement as a problem, you make them to write research questions relevant to the topic, because it will give a good confidence on the student to go for formulation of objectives and hypothesis. That's why I said it is a basic tenet, a rudimentary base on which the research question is there. Only on this research rudimentary base, you can formulate, say, objectives, you can formulate hypotheses and everything else. So spend good time on the research questions. See that whether they are clear and focused to your topic. It becomes very easy for you. It's easy for the research scholar as well for the research guide. And we can say that he is able to monitor his progress. Otherwise, it will be in difficulty later. See, the second one, the characteristics of research question. Yes, sir. You can share with me. The participants are encouraged to give they can talk to me. I am willing to talk. I am willing to give replies for the queries you are raising. Normally, last 50 minutes, meant for the feedback, for the interactive session. I think I have spoken nearly more than 2 hours. Now the time is nearly 1:45. I just leave 50 minutes, 10 minutes the break. So it is for you to share your experience, so that I can learn something from you also. Because the teacher is always a learner,
Sir.
A teacher is always a student.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Teacher is always continuous learner.
Yes, he is always a continuous learner.
Sir, one small query, sir.
Please.
See, when we are writing research question in previous resource person, previous classes, he talked about investigative questions.
Okay.
When we write research question and when we write investigative questions, and the sequence of research questions, objectives, and investigative questions, which one comes first and which one comes later? Please.
See, actually, the word investigation is a very, very strong word. See, investigation is a very strong word. I think you understand that. Research question is a basic one. When we do, that's why I told there is a difference of meaning between what is called research question as well as here. Some students, they think it is a question on research. It is not so. It is a question relevant to the topic, because it forms the basis. From research questions, you can develop investigative questions later. Because at the time of submitting your research proposal, say for example, your student gives you a research proposal. As a guide, you must accept it. You must first accept it. You must see you are actually going through the introduction, the statement of the problem, objectives, data collection, methodology in general. Whether it is possible or not, we do not know. Okay? But we must insist on them. You put some basic research questions so that you are actually moving towards the research objectives. The investigation all comes later. When you are collecting the data, when you're going for the field work, the university questions will come. What is our research question? What is the research objective? What type of questions we have to ask? Still, we have to go deeper and deeper. So this is the sequence. Okay.
Sir, actually, after review of related literature, after writing the research gap, we can we frame the research questions on the basis of research gap or on the basis of theory?
Okay, some students they do it because only when you refer various literature, especially current one, don't go to very the more than 25 years. No. You ask the students to go for latest 15 years. Okay, literature. You know what is happening. You know what they have done. And you can ask them to identify the research gap. From this reverse mechanism, so just a reverse charge, From this also you can modify your research questions. Your research question may not be 100% permanent. It can be modified depending upon your survey, depending upon your literature review. It can be modified at any point of time. But once you've decided, say after 6 months, that's why we have got coursework, Once you decided this is final, then please don't change it. Frequent change will harm the speed and also brings a problem to the gate also. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, and in the name of review of related literature, everyone is that is the trend now. In every universities, we are following only jot downing the abstract of the particular research chronologically. Actually, what is the exact review of related literature? How can we write in a critical way?
Yes, yeah, really a good question. I appreciate you. See, normally now today, because of the internet facility, it is very easy. It is easy to take a particular passage from a particular thesis or dissertation, and we just quote them. The real procedure is you are required to go through the first chapter of the thesis of the particular student. First chapter. And mainly introduction, the problem, objectives. These things will give you some clue. And the findings, major findings. Those things actually will help you to write a very, very clear literature review, but it is not done currently. Our teachers actually, they taught me. My professor, now he is 18 years old at Nilamekam. I was with him for nearly 25 years. He taught me very sincerely, this how you have to write a literature review. At that time, there was no internet. So I go to the library, university libraries. Madurai Kamaraj University Library, University of Madras Library, Bharatiya University. I spent time, I went there, take the topic relevant to the study, go through them, take points from them. I just read the statement of the problem, findings, then scope, then I bring it. At that time, the guides actually, they found time and they edit, they help us. This helped us more focused way of writing the literature review. But now, I have been insisting the student two things, Indian literature and foreign literature. In India, how actually people have done the research. In foreign countries, for the same topic you have chosen, is being done. What is the research gap? Actually, you find. This also will help you to some extent to improve your research question. Plus, please don't ask student to write so many, say, literature review. No, not required. 75, 100, 125, covering nearly 80 pages. No, not necessary. It is enough you have only 30 pages literature review. It is sufficient. But with the stuff, because we have to give footnotes, we have to give footnotes. Yes, Mr. Pramod Kumar.
Sir, yeah, thank you, sir. And one more question, sir.
Yes.
Don't mistake in me.
No.
Sir, one interesting thing I found related to my research work in the newspaper, in the form of editorial, or maybe in the form of article written by some experts. Can I cite that article in a review of related literature, or is it require any authentication for citing the review of related literature?
No, please let me see whether you are a faculty, you got doctorate, you are is a scholar, please. I don't know about you.
Sir, I am faculty.
Good. The thing is actually, Mr. Pramod Kumar, it is normally the quotation, taking the literature review from the standard thesis. First, we talk about the thesis. From the thesis, you must first take the literature review. Second one is maybe PhD thesis or MPhil thesis. Conference materials, standard books. Please don't depend upon the newspaper cuttings. Newspaper cuttings, people they say, I also asked the same question in some forum, but it's not reliable. Newspaper editorial will not be 100% perfect. It is changing depending upon the time. Okay. But the standard books from standard publishers, the conference
I think Sir lost his internet connection due to some glitches.
Pramod ji, please wait.
No. Somebody actually, my voice actually, audio has been stopped. Okay. I think Mr. Pramod Kumar, I'm audible,
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Okay. The thing is actually, you try to, you are a guide your student, say, first ask them to get extract from the published or unpublished thesis, maybe PhD or MPhil also. Then committees, government formed committees, commissions, maybe RBA report, annual report, okay, Pakka reports, published reports that can form a very important source of literature. But don't give much importance for the newspapers. Newspapers, we can't rely. They change depending upon the timing. On this date, it is relevant, they will give. Okay. After 10 months, they give a different editorial because the situation changes, especially policy of government. Especially policy of the government. It can't be steady. It can't be, always static. It is dynamic. Okay. Any more questions, please? Participants are welcome. Madam? Not necessarily just question. Any question, any other thing also. No problem.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Mr. Srinivasan, please.
Sir, I'm Srinivas, research scholar, Central University of Tamil Nadu, sir. I have a small doubt, sir. Sir, actually, I have very interested. I taken one topic that is very interested, and I am very much like it. But my guide is not interested to that topic. How will I convey my guide to choose my topic? Give me any suggestion, sir.
Actually, your audio is not very clear, but I'm able to understand your question. The thing is, you have to impress your guide with regard to your research question and how research objectives. There are literature available, abundant literature available today. So you can, suppose it's not convinced, you can quote, you can take extract, you can show them, printed copies you can show them, and you can make them convincing. But here, the way in which you present the guide, especially with regard to the print matter, you are typing, you are giving a printed matter to your guide, you ensure that whether there is coherence and cogency, the relevance of topic, relevance of research objectives, research questions, everything must be, I can say, linked to one another, because they are not different, they are interdependent. One depends on other. As I told you, to Mr. One of the first Pramod Kumar, normally from the broad topic, broad area, we go for the research topic at micro level. And next one, when we ask research questions, not immediately, you must read a lot. You must read a lot of literature, then you have to go for the research question. Then based on that, you can prepare research objectives. Then based upon that, you go for the research hypothesis. That is the sequence. But many students, they don't know about it. That is the problem. Okay, I think Mr. Srinivas, I think I have answered the question.
Yes, sir. Sir, one more query, sir. Sir, can I write separate section for research gap or including research methodology? That is the later review. Can I summarize separate section for research gap?
No, actually, no. It all depends upon how the practice being followed by the guide. Normally, the research gap is given in the literature review, chapter 2, at the end. Before you conclude the second chapter, you are giving citations, you are giving references of so many literature available by your seniors who done research. Okay. Now, what you have done, you are compiling it. You are compiled, and you also given footnotes also. Now, at the end, it is for you to convince, not only your guide also, but also your examiner also, in what way your topic is different from the earlier studies. You must give a convincing reason. Maybe you can take even one page also, 2 pages also. It is much appreciated. That means, though there are so many literature available, many people they can research on these topics, but my particular topic is different from the earlier topics in respect of the following grounds. You give point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you go even up to 20. That will be much appreciated. Yes.
Sir, excellent, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, clearing my doubts, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, is there any yardstick to measure good research question and bad research question? How can we measure?
See, it's very simple. I think I have given you a second one. The characteristics of a good research question assessed in the context of the intended study design, or that it's feasible, interesting, novel, ethical, and relevant. These are the yardsticks, whether it is feasible. See, you are taking a topic, sometimes you can do, you may not do. I know, I think many of my friends also will agree with me. They are taking a topic, when you go for data collection, they will say, sir, nobody gives data, sir. They say it is secret, it can't be published. So I want to change the topic. Especially financial information, normally they won't give unless it is government department, especially private companies. private firms, they will not give you the financial details. So you have to see feasibility. And the topic must be interesting also and relevant to a study. If all these say features are there, I think normally your question will become a good research question. It should be ethically correct. It should not hurt the feeling of anybody. It's not politically motivated. In fact, I have given you a particular I think Mr. Vinay Murthy, you can just go further. I have just given topics which are allowed, not allowed. There are some, I think my PPT has got some more slides, but you go before the end of it, what topics should not be permitted because universities don't encourage it. And also the guides also should encourage all these topics because at the end, it will become a problem for the university, for the guide, for the student, everybody, because there are some sensitive issues. Suppose talk about topic on terrorism. No, you should not take a topic on terrorism. How the terrorism actually developed in different countries of the world. Suppose take a topic. So this topic, will not be in the interest of society. So normally, you please choose a topic which are relevant to society. That is why the researcher must contribute to societal purpose. And if your topic actually motivates violence, okay, disturbs peace, tranquility, and disturbs the reading of the say audience, is not in the interest of society, then you should not encourage such type of topics. Some topics are politically motivated. Some topics are actually intended to harm the interests of some sections of society. Don't, no. I think the coordinator can just move through other slides and they can find later. I think you can share the PPT to all the people, Huh?
Okay.
And I also spent sufficient time on it. I have spent nearly a full week to prepare this PPTs because I want to do justice, and many things are something I learned many things when I went through the topic. So though this question is a very simple one, but once you go through in depth, just a research, I found many things new to me also. You please go through next. Yeah, you can roll down. Still you can go. 5 questions to be for good research. What is the problem to be solved? Who cares about this problem and why? What have others done? What is your solution to the problem? How can you demonstrate that solution is good one? Say your mind must be as a researcher. What is the problem? What is the solution? You cannot go on talking about the problem. You must also be in a position to give your recommendations and suggestions. And suggestions should not be too general. It must be specific. It must be implementable. You should not give a suggestion which is not possible for a firm to practice. It should be meaningful. It should be practicable. You cannot say the government must change the entire act. The act must be repealed. No, the government must change the law. No, if you give like that, it's not a good suggestion. You can say, I can amend the law by giving these words. That is permitted. See, your suggestion must be suggestive in nature. Normally, the policymakers will get benefit. Otherwise, if you go on criticizing a policy, it is of no use. You are the problem. You are chosen the problem. You are going through a methodology to find the solution. You have got a suggestion. You must give a concrete suggestion. It must be very clear, concrete. It must be implementable. Okay. That should be the mindset of a student. I think somebody asked, what is a poor research question? A bad research question is too abstract and too general. For example, public finance, human resource management. Suppose take a study of public finance in India. It is too general. You can't go for a correct research question. Suppose you take a topic, a study of human resource management in India of various industries. No. It is not possible for you to complete. Okay. It so that it must be narrow, it must be specific. The poor questions are the result of the very broad topics. When I say poor question research question means the question you have taken is good, but it cannot be implemented because the topic is too wide. It may not be able to do within the time. So you are based upon the topic only are going to choose a question. The research question will not help you in completing your thesis on time. I told you, research question is it gives you a path. It goes how you have to move. It's a first step to move one step after other step. If you have a very broad research question based on research topic, you may not reach the destination on time. Okay. Next one. Hello. Somebody based on how many research questions you must have, whether 2 questions or 3 questions or 10 questions. Again, it depends upon the topic you have chosen. Some topics require 5 questions. Experts they say, please don't go more than 6 questions because research questions, when you are very specific, you put everything in 6 questions. But if the topic is somewhat relevant, more appropriate, and government also will be more useful to society also, you can go. I think you can't go more than 10 questions. It is my personal view. Ideal thing is 5. Ideal thing is 5 to 6 is ideal questions. Yes, next. Examples. See example. What are the long-term effects of using activated charcoal in place of generic toothpaste for routine dental care? See, people they take different topics, and depending upon topic only the questions are being framed. I taken only 1 or 2. This question is just specific enough to prevent digressions as measurable results and concerns information that is both useful and interesting. See, the research question will tell you whether it is possible, practicable, and whether it is interesting and whether you are able to collect data. That is the research question. Testing could be conducted in a reasonable time frame. That is very important. You can't take 3 years for data collection. See, the data collection you must plan. Normally, students, that's a problem for the guide also. They say data collection for years together. 1 year, 2 years, the data collection is going on. Then when they are going to complete, 5 years will be over. Extension, any extension. There is a problem, all these things are there. Yes, next. Next, please. Next, please. How much time do youth between ages of 10 and 15 spend playing video games? Today there's a problem for the scientists, especially doctors. The young children, they are spending a lot of time on video games. It affects the growth, mental growth of the student, the children. What are the effects of this video gaming on the attention spans of youth between ages of 10 and 15? The topic is like this. The research question is derived from this topic. That's why given. Does the author of this text use allusion? To what extent advertising affect the behavior of children and younger generation in particular? The topic can be maybe relevant, must be narrowed down, and the question must be relevant to the topic. That is why, if you have all some 6 questions or 10 questions maximum, definitely you can very boldly go further and faster also. Next. Research question checklist. You can ask, I mean, it's argument, is my research question something that I am curious about and others might care about it? Does it present an issue on which I can take a stand? Is my research question broad or narrow or okay? Is my research question is researchable within the time frame of the assignment? Is my research question is measurable? What type of information do I need? Can I find actual data to support or contradict a position? So you are asking, you make a checklist on the questions. You evaluate this. Next. The answer to this question will be previous last line, please. The answer to a good research question will often be the thesis of your research paper. When you publish a good research paper, that means you have done a good research about you also made an attempt about your research questions. Yes, next please. Questions to ask about COVID-19 research. Recently I found certain aspects from a journal because they won't publish in a journal. Then the question is asked by the students. As a research scholar, he makes this question. Did the study appear in a peer-reviewed journal? Who conducted the research? What was the study? Where it was studied? How big the sample was? Did the researchers establish causality, correlation, dependence?
Dear participants,
Yes, sir.
if you need any clarification, please. I request and invite our Honorable VC Appreciating Committee Member Dr. T.R. Gurumurthy sir to say a few words, sir. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yes, all the participants have expressed The session is very nice, impressive, and excellent, and it is related to research question, which is the base for all fundamental research works in social sciences. So Dr. Balachandran has done a very wonderful work for the IPSSR sponsored program, and he is an experienced teacher, worked more than 3 decades for the welfare of the students, and now he is the Dean of Management in Central University, Kerala, and he has given a very nice deliberation on research questions. So hope the participant might have enjoyed, and academically and research-wise they are strengthened and enhanced for further improvement in the days to come in their academic and research profession. This is a very good fertile exercise to them, and they have attended for 12 days and so many sessions. And these sessions will be much helpful to them to improve their academic and research related endeavors. So today's session, Dr. Balachandran has explained well the research question and the procedures involved in framing the research question, and how does the research question help the researcher to pursue his research. So thank you very much, and I thank the organizers also. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much. First of all, thank Mr. Gurumurthy and his team, particularly Mr. The organizer, Mr. Dr. Vinayamurthy, and all the members of faculty for the running this 10 days program. It is very, very required lot of work, lot of, I understand. It involves lot of work. Even doing 1 day work, it requires a lot of work. Conducting 10 days work is not an easy job. And I congratulate the department once again, and I thank all the my participants and members of faculty for the patient hearing. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Department of Commerce, I would like to record my sincere thanks to our Honorable Professor Dr. Balachandran sir for your inspirational session, sir. It's highly useful to all of us, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our Honorable VC Appreciating Committee Member Dr. T.R. Gurumurthy, sir, for providing Google Meet link, sir. Highly useful, sir. It is very useful to us to make this session as highly interactive session, sir. Really, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Dear participants, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to you all for your valuable participation and making this session as highly interactive. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Namaste, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Namaste, sir.
Thank you.
Namaste, namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We meet in the afternoon.
Yes, sir, please, sir. We will meet sharply at 2 p.m. Sir.
Okay.
Dear participants, we will meet sharply at 2 p.m. for the next session. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.